Carney is still riding high in the polls. He's doing quite well, the last poll I saw. Also, things like military spending. You have to recognize that they do have public support for the time being. You can look at that, like a lot of these people on the left do, and draw pessimistic conclusions and say, well, listen, Mark Carney is still very popular. People support militarism. People support these measures. Therefore, we're in a reactionary situation. People are moving in a right-wing direction. But I think that's a very surface-level way of looking at things. There's a quote from Jean Chrétien, who was, which by the way, one of the people that Carney looks up to, carried out brutal austerity. In fact, the worst austerity in modern Canadian history while he was in government. But anyway, through that experience, he learned a few things, I think you could say, about public consciousness, about politics. But one of the things he said is, everyone wants to go to heaven. The problem is that nobody wants to die. In other words, it's one thing to say, okay, we're going to spend $100 billion more on the army. It's another thing to say, and to fund it, we're cutting your healthcare, we're cutting your social programs, we're closing down schools, we're closing down hospitals. That second part of the equation has not factored in yet. Yeah. But it will. Inevitably. That money inevitably has to come from somewhere. When those cuts eventually happen, whenever they happen, that's going to have profound implications for consciousness. When they start deporting people in large numbers, if they go down that path, this is going to have a profound impact. Look at what's happened in the United States. You had protests spreading all across of the United States when Trump moved in to deport these workers in LA. You could see something similar like that in Canada. It's a possibility. The Indigenous movement, when they start pushing through blockades, when they start arresting Indigenous people en masse to build these projects, that's going to have repercussions. We saw this a few years ago with the Wet'suwet'en blockade in northern BC, which, by the way, it wasn't just Indigenous people protesting. That spread to other working people. That spread to young people in city after city. And it had public support as well. All of the ingredients are there for massive explosions on a whole number of different fronts. I think that's the perspective. It's not immediate necessarily, but everything is pointing in that direction. All of the ingredients are there for a mass explosion at a certain stage. And obviously, like you said, that's what we're preparing for.